Sexyy Red is a rapper I covered a few months ago in my video, The Dysfunction of Sexyy Red. In that video, we explored who she was, why she became so controversial, and the message her brand represents.
I don't know who they finna say, I don't know who they talking about she got replicated by, but hey, we finna see, cause shit crazy. I don't know who replicating.
Further now, and Sexyy Red isn't being talked about nearly as much as she was just a few months ago. Her hype has undeniably died down, and it's wild to see how quickly things can shift for an artist whose name is built primarily on a gimmick. Sexyy Red is a rapper who blew up largely because of her unapologetically, unfiltered, raunchy, and sexually provocative music. That rawness played a huge role in why she caught the public's attention. But as her influence begins to wane, there's something bigger at play. Sexyy Red's brand has sparked a trend, one where the industry seems to be replicating her persona and turning it into a caricature of the black woman in hip-hop. Some of the controversies Sexyy Red has been involved in, which we've discussed, like her pulling up to a school where she was banned because she allegedly smelled like weed, and beefing with a teacher by publicly calling her out, are just a few of the stories that have kept her name in the headlines. Despite the backlash, it's clear that Red's wave
just ghetto shit, just ghetto.
Been impactful enough to spark real conversations about her influence in the music industry. It's no secret that Sexyy Red is backed up by major corporations and has significant funding behind her brand. Given that level of support, I think we'll see at least one more major push to elevate her career in the coming year. I think the level of return the corporations see on their investment in her will ultimately determine how much we hear her name in the coming years. For now, things have been relatively quiet on her end. A few weeks ago, I came across a clip on social media featuring a female rapper whose name I actually don't know. The clip went viral on X, formerly known as Twitter.
I ain't gonna lie, shorty low-key look like Sexyy Red though. If that, is that her? Hell no. Y'all drop in the comments, let me know if I'm tripping.
And let's just say that the rapper's entire persona felt like a carbon copy of Sexyy Red. It's clear that the industry is doubling down on this
we gotta
formula.
see if she can
it's
rap
almost
like
as
her
if they're
though.
Trying to...
Well, Sexyy Red, she ain't that raw, but nigga, we gotta see if she decent though.
Recreate the same type of buzz Sexyy Red had, but with a fresh face to keep the cycle going. Like I mentioned earlier, Sexyy Red has undeniably made an impact in the music industry, so much that it seems like she's already being replicated. And as for this female rapper, like I said, I have no clue who she is, and honestly, I don't care to know. But there are a few things I noticed right away. First of all, the branding. Sexyy Red, as we all know, is a black woman who's heavily tattooed. She's a hood chick, she's raunchy, and has an unapologetic persona. Part of the reason why Sexyy Red's virality works so well is that she fully owns who she is. There's no holding back. To go viral these days, you do need thick skin, and I feel like Sexyy Red has that on lock. She's put herself in countless situations where she's opening herself up to criticism, and yet she keeps pushing forward. And let's be real, success, especially on social media, brings a lot of hate. That's something we all know. Just look at that girl who cooks on TikTok. I had no idea who she was until I saw a bunch of women hating on her. It's like the more successful you are, the more you become a target, especially if your brand stands out as much as Sexyy Red's does.
Yeah, if you don't got no haters, you ain't doing shit for real.
Another thing about this particular clip is, of course, the extremely raunchy lyrics. For starters, if you look at the screen, she's wearing a shirt that boldly says, "I love dick." As for the lyrics, let's just say that they're very explicit, and I'm not even going to repeat them by myself. Instead,
bro, I ain't even peeped that, bro. That's like the self-respect is crazy. That shit just went -30. I ain't gonna lie.
If you look at the screen, she's wearing a shirt that boldly says, "I love dick."
Y'all let me know if y'all little sister or y'all daughter did that shit. What would y'all do? Oh, how would y'all feel? That's crazy.
They're very explicit, and I'm not even gonna repeat them by myself. Instead, I'll let the clip speak for itself.
Do that hang low. If it do, I want some more. Can you put it in my guts? Can I put it in my nose? Can I see it while you me from the back? I wanna know. Do your hang low?
Aside from the
what the hell? Bro, I ain't gonna lie, that sound like some shit Sexyy Red to probably make it though, but with more energy and probably a little bit better. I don't know. That shit crazy. Shit bogus.
From the extremely vulgar lyrics, if you'd have noticed, the song structure is actually based on nursery rhymes. This is a common strategy used to market certain artists to the masses. Those familiar melodies taps into the subconscious mind, especially kids, making the song memorable and easy to repeat. This ties directly into the conversation because if you remember, there was that story about the teacher I mentioned, and she spoke about how the young girls in her class were singing Sexyy Red songs.
Your 5-year-old daughters are asking to listen to Pound Town and Sexyy. I don't want to see little 5-year-olds trying to twerk to Pound Town. And you guys think that it's cute.
Part of the reason for this is because Sexyy Red has been marketed towards kids, specifically young black girls. A big part of that strategy comes from making her image more colorful and visually appealing. It's similar to what we've seen with Ice Spice, but for her, this approach has worked perfectly because Ice Spice naturally exudes a very girly and...
But she fell all the way off the map though. Ice Spice says, I think they said she just dropped the album. I ain't even know. I don't know nobody that did know. Her ass, boy, what the fuck? That's crazy. And she was one of the biggest artists in the world. Hopefully, man, that shit crazy.
And vibe. She's way more marketable to a younger audience, partially due to colorism, but mostly because her image is more polished. Unlike Sexyy Red, Ice Spice isn't covered in tattoos, and her persona doesn't rely on what some might call low-class behavior. And let me clarify, this isn't about skin color, it's about behavior. Cardi B, for an instance, has a lighter skin complexion, but if you look at how she carries herself, you'll realize that Cardi B is the definition of low class. It's not just about appearance, it's about the overall image and how it resonates with the audience being targeted. The lucrativeness of pushing someone like Sexyy Red is undeniable. Black culture as a whole has been exploited by the entertainment industry in ways that are almost impossible to fully articulate. What's even more disheartening is that many of these corporations know exactly what they're doing. They profit off of the stereotypes, controversy, and spectacle, all while disregarding the deeper cultural implications. There's a reason why a Sexyy Red is in the position she's in, and the same goes for many of the male rappers who are elevated in similar ways. This isn't just a conversation about women in the game, it's a universal issue that impacts the entire industry, and I want to make that very clear. The biggest problem with this dynamic is how the worst parts of the community are amplified and put on massive platforms. These corporations aren't just showcasing it, they're actively encouraging these artists to promote dysfunctional behaviors and ideas, turning them into spectacles for profit while ignoring the real harm it causes. A lot of people don't even blink when they see stuff like this anymore because it's been so normalized. We've already talked about how hip-hop as a whole has been exploited, how the lifestyle has been commodified and monetized by corporations, and we all know the negatives that come with that. The harsh reality is that the artist doesn't even own the music. Instead, there's an executive somewhere making tens of thousands of dollars every single minute and putting his grandkids through college off of the dysfunction that these artists are encouraged to promote. Sure, someone like Sexyy Red wins in the sense that she gets to be rich, successful, and famous, but at what cost? To sell yourself and your people out? Personally, I don't think it's worth it, but then again, if I was offered millions of dollars to do what she's doing, who knows? Maybe I'd feel differently. It's a tough call. Now, this formula or experiment, if you will, is never gonna fail. Because at its core, part of the reason why artists with this archetype, especially in the black community, find so much success is because people of all races are drawn to what they perceive as cool. And to a lot of different demographics, Sexyy Red represents that cool factor, especially for non-black individuals who idolize black entertainers. Sexyy Red suddenly becomes a lens into what they think it's like to be a part of black culture. It's the closest they can get to without actually being a part of it. And that allure fuels her appeal across different audiences. Now, aside from that particular group we were just talking about, someone like Sexyy Red also resonates with a lot of young girls who look up to her and aspire to be like her. With the right amount of marketing and hype, it's easy to tap into that targeted audience. And if there's one thing these corporations have, it's the resources to push names like Sexyy Red into the mainstream spotlight. However, there will come a time, and it might be sooner than you think, when they stop pushing her. Why? Well, let's just say that once the return on their investment isn't there, she'll no longer be a priority. It's a cycle that happens to every artist, regardless of the motives behind their rise to fame. Like a lot of us know, most artists stay on top for just 2 to 3 years. And unfortunately, between that 3rd and 4th year is often when they get shelved. It's a harsh reality.
Oh, I wonder, is that why some artists, like, they ass signed to a label and they ass be overly, like, I ain't gonna say overly going crazy. Some of they ass have like 1 or 2 songs that go up that you never hear about they ass again. I wonder, is that because the label ass didn't recoup and put no more money back into their ass? That'd be crazy. That shit crazy. That probably is. I don't know though, cause it's like, how didn't y'all recoup if y'all just got 2, 3? Well, it do take money to make a hit though. You can't. They say it's hard to get a hit without putting hella money into that bitch.
That's usually when many artists realize that they're not as special as they thought. This is why I always say it's very risky to lean on a gimmick. It's fickle and unsustainable. The smartest move any artist can make is to build a genuine connection with their audience. At the end of the day, that's what makes you unique. It's also what helps you stick with your tribe and maintain longevity. And the fact that we're seeing Sexyy Red being replicated tells me one thing: the industry is working overtime in the factory. They're desperately trying to find artists, particularly women, who fit this exact mold they can pour money into and push to the mainstream. The silver lining is that people are more aware of these tactics now, because people like me are talking about it, right? When situations like this arise, many of us who pay attention can't help but think, wait, I've seen that before. And that's when the bells start ringing and the audience, you, begin to question the authenticity of what's being marketed to you. At the end of the day, this kind of thing only works when people aren't aware of the intentions behind promoting a certain type of artist. 9 times out of 10, if there's significant funding behind someone's name and they have a gimmick, and their archetype resembles others who've been heavily promoted by the corporations in the past, it's definitely something worth questioning. Because at the end of the day, these patterns are not random and they're always worth paying attention to. Anyway, if you guys made it this far, I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Like always, if you enjoy...
Bro, no, that shit is, yeah. I want to shorty shit weak ass or decent though.